Hi, I'm Andrew Wasson. Thanks for joining me for my weekly guitar blog. It's May 24th, 2015, and this week we're going to do a lesson covering visualizing melodic ideas. Now, this week's question was sent in from Ron. He's out in Douglasville, Georgia, and he wrote in with this email. Is there some way to memorize solos from songs faster? I know my scales fairly well, but for some reason I always struggle memorizing new parts from solos that I'm working on. If there's a speed technique or a trick I can start using to remember the different parts of solos that I'm doing, I'd sure like to know what it is. From Ron in Douglasville, Georgia, USA. Well, hey, thanks for writing in, Ron. I think that almost every guitarist spends a certain period of time where they struggle with, committing songs or sections of songs, melodies, solos, or whatever to memory. And in the early days of playing, it's not easy to memorize guitar parts without a good knowledge of your scale shapes. So you have to start there. Go through all your scales. We have the 5 pattern system here, creative guitar, that we're teaching, and there's some videos I have online covering that. Get those scale shapes down first. But, there is a way to speed up the entire process, and it simply involves visualizing the overall geometrical shape of the specific part that you're learning, and also relating the melodic idea to the complete scale pattern and understanding where your octaves are for all your roots. Get yourself fully involved with exactly where everything is on the guitar fingerboard so you fully understand how everything goes and connects. So, what we're going to do in this lesson is we're going to study a couple of different guitar melodies, and we're going to relate them to the neck as geometrical patterns that we can visualize and quickly memorize on the guitar fingerboard. Okay, so here's the first guitar lick idea that we're going to work with. Sounds like this. So you can see there it's really localized in the 5th position of the guitar. It's kind of using the scale tones of the A minor scale, just going through like that. So it's kind of like, centered around that A minor chord right there in 5th position. And you could even think of it as really relying quite heavily on the pentatonic minor around there as well. Here's the sound of it one more time. Okay, next let's zoom in on the screen capture and go through the overall pattern that we're going to be using for our visualization approach. Well, now that you've had a chance to hear how that guitar lick sounds, let's take a look at the visualized scope of how these notes are on the guitar fingerboard, and of course how they relate back to the original scale itself. Now, this guitar lick does happen to be in the key of A minor. And here's our root right here on the 7th fret of the 4th string. Now, if you'll recall, that guitar lick started out on the root of A, made its way over to a C and a D, and then up into the 2nd string where an E note was hit, and then we wound up having a descending run of notes from G over to F, and then we transferred strings at that point from the G, F, and E, returning over to the 3rd string once again where we had a 16th note triplet sliding down into this 4th fret B note on the 3rd string, and then it just made its way back over once again into the root of A. So the way that I would think of this particular guitar lick is I would think of it as having a root of A here, another upper root of A right here, and then of course there's the A that's used in the melody right at that 4th string. Now, what's important is around the shape that we're focused at, it doesn't go anywhere past 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings, so it's a relatively short frame that we're working within. The segment is not very large at all, and that's really important to understand, is that any kind of melody you work on is going to be a localized section of the scale. So you want to know the scale type, and you want to know the location of the scale's tonic notes. Of course, you can see them here, A, and A, across the guitar fingerboard. And through that information, you would have enough to start understanding the fingerings better and really understand how limited that very likely the guitar lick is on the neck, because most of your licks and melodies and lines, they're fairly limited in a location, and the faster you can learn to visualize this sort of thing on the neck, the better. Now let's move on to another guitar lick that's going to be covering a greater range across the neck. I'm going to play that first, and then we're going to come back to the guitar fingerboard here and do a little bit more analysis to understand how the next lick works on the neck. So let's hear the next guitar lick, and then we'll come back to this diagram. Okay, the second guitar lick idea that we're going to work on is going to take on much more of a range across the neck. We're going to start up a little higher and then move into around 5th position there. We're going to start actually on the 1st string doing a 16th note triplet run, and then move our way into 2nd string around 8th and 10th frets and kind of double back in those notes. So anyway, I'm going to play the whole thing in the beginning here, just give you a good idea of how it sounds. So you got one half of it's up here, and then at that point we jump over and we are moving more into the 5th position. So there's kind of two chunks to this idea. There's an upper chunk here, kind of moving on, through the first top 3 strings there, and then we're going to move over to something that's kind of a little bit more on just 4th and 3rd strings alone. So anyway, here it is one more time. Alright, so next let's go into the screen capture and discuss in there on how you can visualize this guitar lick. Well, our second guitar lick is taking on a little bit more of the region of the guitar fingerboard. With this lick, we're going to be basically going between the 5th fret till around 11th or so. So it's a little bit greater range. Now, if you'll recall, the lick started out on the 1st string. We had a 16th note triplet idea taking us from 11th and 10th frets into 8th fret. A couple of notes there on the 2nd string, 10th and 8th frets. Note on 9th fret, 3rd string, we double back and kind of wrap this lick up, this end of the lick up. Anyway, then we head down the neck here, and we're working within a new region. You can see here on the 3rd string, basically that's where it starts. We have a 16th note triplet concept that takes us into the 5th fret, a couple notes on 4th string, and then we double back to 3rd and then come back to 4th to end the lick on the root of A. Now, we wind up having these two separate areas that we're dealing with. There's this upper region with this set of notes, and then we have this lower region off of the 4th and 3rd string. But what we're doing here is we're chunking everything down. We're getting it into smaller shapes for ourselves. We have this upper region, and we understand how that looks, and we get the shape in our mind, and we practice that as a separate concept. And then we're going to move over to our new region of the neck, see this shape as a specific layout, and begin memorizing the shape around the fingerings and how the lick is structured, and then we put them together. Basically, we would have the the upper idea that we'll work on, and then bring that down into the lower idea and complete both halves and get the entire guitar lick down. But like we've talked about earlier, the idea is that the different melodies are localized sections of the scale. Now, you hopefully would want to know your full scale patterns. That's kind of a unsaid rule here that we need to have under our belt before we're really going to have a lot of success, being able to visualize these small chunk down shapes. But it is a part of it, and you just have to work on those scale patterns, get them down. But the idea that we're really working on here is we're trying to get these localized pieces of the scale organized on the neck and memorize them as small visualized chunks, putting them together when we have longer licks or even longer melodies. And you're chunking it all down, you're working on it in small segments, and you're visualizing what those segments look like. So if you do this work, it's going to make a big difference in how quickly you're able to visualize your scales, your licks, your song sections, melodies. It just all makes it go faster. And of course, visualization is a very powerful tool. You could use it for many other ideas on learning guitar, but this is how you would visualize a melodic melodic ideas on the neck, and it is super helpful to practice it and put it into action. Well, you know, visualization is one of the most important concepts that a guitarist can use in order to speed up the memorization of nearly every area of playing. Whether we're working on scales or licks, chords, or song sections of any kind, once we can understand the part on the neck as a shape and view the idea as a pattern, we can commit the idea to our memory a lot faster. And by learning to visualize a musical idea, we'll be able to see it regionally and gain better insight into the fingering patterns we'll need to apply the part in the easiest way possible. Now, with visualization, we can really speed up all of these areas that we use in order to perform music on our guitar both better and faster. Anyway, that's about all the time I have for today. As always, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and if possible, consider a small donation to help fund the Guitar Lessons project here. Otherwise, have yourself a great week, and we'll catch up with you next time. Bye for now. I'd like to take a moment to mention another guitar video lesson project I've started. It's a unique guitar lesson approach that I'm doing online, and it's not like anything I've done before. Best of all, it's 100% free. I've called this approach Guitar Micro Lessons, and they're a great way to learn a few new licks or riffs or chord shapes each week. Now, these Guitar Micro Lessons are quick and easy to learn from. They're very short, with each lesson running between only 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes in length. They're published to YouTube from Monday to Thursday on my other Guitar Blog Update YouTube channel, and you can either subscribe to that channel to guarantee getting each new episode, or just visit the channel whenever it's convenient for you and check out the new micro lessons in the playlist on the Guitar Blog Update channel's homepage. If you're interested in learning faster, making better use of your time, and practicing longer, the Accelerating Your Learning Curve ebook is for you. Over 60 pages of information on how to take control of both the way you learn and the time that you devote to your practicing. Accelerating Your Learning Curve is available for instant download in the View Our Products area at creativeguitarstudio.com.